Morning students, today we will learn chapter 15, Improvement in Food Resources. We will have two parts, part 1 crops and part 2 animal husbandry. We all know that we need food for growth, development and repair of body. It also protects us from diseases and provides us energy for carrying various activities. We also know that only green plants are autotrophs and rest of them are heterotrophs. Man is a heterotroph. That is why he is involved in the activities of farming and rearing animals to meet his food requirement. Now, what are crops? The plants which are grown by men in large numbers to get useful products and to meet the nutritional needs are called crops. Now there are different types of crops. They are cereals, vegetables, fruits. Now what is sustainable agriculture? Sustainable agriculture is the adoption of various farming and production management techniques to maximize the yield. That means if you're going to grow a crop, you need maximum yield from it. The availability of the crops is called that yield, maximum yield. You should get many or more number of crops, right? For example, if we are cultivating a tomato plant, we need so much of tomato. That is called yield. What is the maximum yield? How to get maximum yield? To get that, you need to know different techniques, right? How can we do to increase the tomato yield? What are the techniques? How can we produce more number of tomatoes? That is known as sustainable agriculture. Now, what is the use of sustainable agriculture? Implementing the sustainable agriculture will help in the following things. First one, conserving natural resources. Second is maintain an environmental balance. And third is coping with changing human needs. Now, why is sustainable agriculture a need? This is due to the following reason. One is mixed cropping. Mixed cropping means on the same field you will have more than one kind of plant grown there. Second, crop rotation. Crop rotation means if the soil in the field we are growing only one particular plant, the same nutrients from the soil is taken up by the plant, and this will lead to leaching or removal of the particular nutrient from the soil. So in order to prevent that, crop rotation is done. That means crop is changed. For example, if you are growing tomatoes for 2 months, then again next 2 months you will not grow tomatoes, you will grow some other plant. Again, you will grow some other plant. So that is known as crop rotation. You will not grow a particular plant for the whole year. You will keep on changing after the harvesting. Once tomatoes are harvested, now the plant will change. Maybe lady's finger, or again it will change. So that is known as crop rotation. Now intercropping. Third is intercropping. And last is integrated farming. What is integrated agriculture? Integrated agriculture implies to a combination of agriculture with other forms of culture. That means with the crops you add other organisms also, such as pisciculture. That means fish farming. Aquaculture, that is also a kind of fish farming itself. Apiculture. Apiculture means bee farming. Sericulture means silkworm farming. Poultry farming means, yes, hen and chicken. Livestock production means animal husbandry, which includes cow, buffalo, for milk production, etc. So integrated agriculture means all together, all the crops together, or crops with other organisms, and integrated method of agriculture. Now, what are the advantages of sustainable agriculture? Sustainable agriculture achieves integration of natural biological cycles and controls. It protects the soil fertility and it renews also the soil fertility. That means the soil fertility does not get over, it keeps on renewing. Optimizes the management and use of farm resources, reduces the use of non-renewable resources, and it also provides income. Organic farming is a practice of raising crops which are polluted by using of fertilizers and manures. By using bio fertilizers and bio pesticides. So in farming, in organic farming, we do not use any fertilizers or chemical fertilizers or chemical manures, but we use only bio fertilizers and bio pesticides that are eco-friendly, that are from nature itself. It is not created. Now, what is the advantage of organic farming? Due to organic farming, you will not have any pest. Pest means those organisms that destroys the crops are called pest. And no weeds. Weeds means those unwanted plants that grow in the in your garden, or sorry, in the crop field is called the weeds. So no pest and no weeds will be formed. Next is proper supply of nutrients. Due to organic farming, there will be good supply of nutrients. No toxicity. That means no pollution will be there. Now organic waste can be recycled and it maintains the soil health. Now there are three types of crops. One is the kharif crop. Next is the rabi crop. And then the third is the zaid crop. Kharif crops are the crops that are sown or grown in the beginning of monsoon. So when is the monsoon? Between June and July. And they are harvested by September or October. Examples are maize or the corn and rice. Rabi crops are crops that are sown in winter, that is between October and November. They are grown and it will be harvested by March or April. Next is the Zaid crops. That means these crops are grown in summer season. Example, cucumber and watermelon. What is crop production management? It refers to controlling the various aspects of crop production to obtain best yield and maximum yield. Now, crop management includes the following steps. One is nutrition management. That means how you can control the nutrition present in the soil, like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, etc. How to manage the nutrients. Next is the irrigation. Irrigation meaning water supply to the crop field. How much water it needs, how you can maintain, all those things come in irrigation. And next is cropping pattern. We already discussed about cropping pattern like intercropping, mixed cropping. All these comes under cropping patterns. Now, how is nutrient management done? It involves selection, timing, and amount of nutrient supply to crops. Like us, plants also need inorganic elements for building their structure and maintaining their metabolic processes. These inorganic substances are called nutrients. Now, nutrients are supplied to the plant by the following ways: air, water, and soil. Either the nutrients will be sprayed in the air or mixed with the water that is given to the plant or directly to the soil. Now, plants require a lot of nutrients, but not in same quantities. Some nutrients they need in larger quantity and some nutrients they need only in smaller amount. So based upon the requirement of nutrients, nutrients are divided into two: macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are required in large amount. By the name itself, macro means large. They mainly take part in building plant body and protoplasmic structures. Out of 13 essential nutrients, 6 are macronutrients. Let us see which are the 6 macronutrients. Plants need nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulphur in large quantities. Micronutrients are those nutrients that are required only in smaller quantity. They are involved in enzyme activity and electron transport. Here, out of 13 essential nutrients, 7 are micronutrients. And which are they? Iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum and chlorine. They are micronutrients which are needed only in very small amount. Now, what are manures and fertilizers? Manures and fertilizers are added to the soil to maintain the fertility of the soil. That means they are rich in nutrients, and to give nutrient to the soil, we add manures and fertilizers. Manures are organic substances that are obtained by the decomposition of animal and plant waste. Example for manure is cow dung. Now, types of manures. First one is farmyard. That means it consists of cattle dung, urine, etc. The waste products from the farm. Next is compost, which are made of decomposed plant and animal waste. Compost, as you know, it is formed by the decomposition of plants and animal waste. It is a biological process in which both aerobic and anaerobic respiration takes place in microorganisms, and they decompose organic matter. So you know that in animals or plants decay, there are microorganisms present in it, and these microorganisms, with the help of aerobic and anaerobic respiration, they decompose the organic matter, and thus compost is formed. Green manure, it consists of decomposition of leguminous plants. Leguminous plants, those plants belongings to bean family, beans, mutton, etc. They all are leguminous plants. A green manure supplies nitrogen, phosphorus, organic matters, and also prevent soil erosion. Now, advantages of manure. Manure adds nutrients to the soil, adds humus to the soil, and improves the quality of the soil. Fertilizers. Fertilizers are inorganic compound which supply specific nutrients. For example, NPK. NPK means nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Ammonium sulfate, ammonium phosphate. Now, fertilizers are classified into 4 groups. One is nitrogenous. That means they get nitrogen from that. Examples are urea, ammonium sulfate, etc. Second is phosphatic. That means they get phosphorus from this, like single superphosphate, triple superphosphate, etc. are some fertilizers. Potassic, that means they get potassium from it, like potassium sulfate. Then last is the complex fertilizers. Those fertilizers which supply more than one nutrient, like NPK, urea, ammonium phosphate, etc. Now a question. Write the difference between manures and fertilizers. Manures, as you know, it is organic, and fertilizer is an inorganic substance. Manure contain all essential nutrients, but in fertilizer only specific nutrient supply is there. Manure, because it is natural process, it is slow, and fertilizer is a fast in action. Manures add humus to soil. but fertilizers do not add any humus to the soil. Manures require in large number. So much of biological waste is needed for manures, but for fertilizer only a low amount is required. And as you know, manure take a long time to show the result. Fertilizer is a fast giving results. Manures is very difficult to store and transport because it is larger in quantity, and fertilizer is very easy to store and transport. Now, what are biofertilizers? Biofertilizers are type of fertilizers in which organisms enrich the soil with nutrients. They are renewable and pollutant free. For example, blue-green algae, rhizobium, etc. So these are biological, that means they are from natural itself, and they are living also, and they give nutrients to the soil. Here an example is given. In the figure you can see this is a leguminous plant, a plant belonging to the bean family. So here inside this plant there are root nodules. The round thing that you see are the root nodules in which a bacterium lives known as rhizobium. So this rhizobium bacterium have the ability to take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into soluble form for the plants, and these bacteria live in the roots of the plant, and that is a biofertilizer. Now next is irrigation. What do you mean by irrigation? It is the supplying of water to the plant. How can water be supplied? There can be pond, from the lake, or using tube wells, water can be supplied to the crops. Other modern techniques of irrigation are sprinkler system that you see in the first figure. You might have seen this in many lawn. Next is the drip irrigation. That means pipes will be provided with a hole near the plant, and using this water reaches the plant. In sprinkler system you can see perpendicular pipes with rotating nozzle on top are joined to the main pipeline at regular intervals. When water is allowed to flow through main pipe under pressure with the help of the pump, it escapes from rotating nozzle and gets sprinkled on crops like rain. In drip system, water falls drop by drop just at the position of the roots. It is the best technique as it helps in the following. It provides water directly to the roots drop by drop, and it saves water. And what are the uses of irrigation? It helps in translocation of food for the plants. It protects crop from frost and hot climate. Now, what are the disadvantages of excess irrigation? If water is more, what happens? The seeds cannot respire and the roots do not grow well. Next is crop protection. Why is it needed that you need to protect the crops? The main two reasons are weeds and pest. Weeds are the unwanted plants that grow in between the crops, and pests are the unwanted organisms that destroy the crop. Now the process of removal of weeds is called weeding. Weeds are unwanted plants that grow along with main crops. For example, you might have seen certain plants growing everywhere, such as amaranthus, grasses, and wild oats. These all are found in between the crops. Now, methods of weeding. How can you remove weeds? First is manual weeding. That means removing weeds by hand. Next is using weedicides. That means by using chemicals like 2,4-D. Next method is biological method, in which some insects or organism is put into the field, and that will eat the weeds and not the main crop. Here you can see in this certain insects are there which are damaging the crops. So certain fishes are grown in the field that can eat these insects, and as a result the plant grows well. Now next is protection of crops from pest. Pest includes certain insects, bacteria, etc. These pests affect in various ways, like they lower the quality of the crop, they can reduce the yield, they can bore inside the crop and destroy it. Now pests are killed by pesticides in the following ways. If a pest is insect, we spray insecticide. If the pest is a weed, we use weedicides. If the pest is a fungi, we use fungicides. These are certain examples of pesticides: DDT, BHC, malathion, metacystox, lindane, etc. are pesticides. Now types of insects that cause problems in the crops. First one, they are chewing insects. That means they cut root, stem, leaf, etc. and eat. Example is caterpillar. Next is sucking insects. That means they suck the cell sap of the plant, like grasshopper. And there are certain internal feeders. That means they go inside the plant and eat the plant parts. Example, weevils. Different chemicals used to destroy these insects are: for root cutting insects, we can destroy those insects by chloropyrifos. Stem and leaf cutting insects can be destroyed by malathion, lindane and theodan. Sap sucking insects can be destroyed by dimethoate and metacystox. Now diseases in crop plants. The commonly occurring diseases are seed-borne diseases like leaf spot of rice, soil-borne diseases like smut of bajra, airborne diseases like blast of rice, waterborne diseases like bacterial blight in rice. Now Now storage. How can the crops be stored after harvesting? The following methods are employed. First one is drying. What do you mean by drying? Drying is a method to prevent it. Drying is a method in which moisture gets removed and it prevents the growth of microorganisms. Maintaining storage container. Gunny bags or earthen pots etc. are used for storing the crops. They should be new and without any cracks. Now next method of storage is chemical treatment. Go down etc. should be sprayed with fumigants. These should be no seepage etc. so that the crops can be stored properly. There should be no seepage or hole etc. so that crops can be stored properly. Now there are certain improved storage structures and the use of it is that they remain airtight, rat proof and can maintain steady temperature. Example are silos. Advantages of storage. By storing, the food does not get spoiled. It helps in availability of fruits and vegetables throughout the year and it maintains the emergency stock. Storage. Dry storage. Example food grains. You can store in a dry method. Cold storage, fruits and vegetables etc. can be stored in fridge. Now let us discuss certain question answers. How fertility of soil can be maintained by natural methods? The fertility of the soil can be maintained by the following natural methods: crop rotation and multiple cropping. Criteria of selecting crops. Crops with different maturation period are chosen. Problems faced by farmers includes difficulty in harvesting and difficulty in supplying fertilizers. Can spread pest also and can lower the quality of crops. Hybridization. Hybridization is a technique of crossing plants of different varieties. Hybridization. Hybridization is a technique of crossing plants of different varieties of desired characters in order to produce a new variety that possesses the desired character. That means we will take two different plants. For example, if I am taking a mango tree, one with having a good root system and the other with having good number of yield. That means both are having good quality and I will cross this plant. So now the plant which comes will have both the qualities. That means it will have good root system and maximum yield. So this is called hybridization, the crossing of plants with different varieties of desired character. Procedure includes introduction, selection and crossing. Introduction is the process of introduction of a crop plants from the place where they are grown to the place where they are not grown. Selection, in this the plants with desired characters are chosen. Crossing, in this step the desired varieties are crossed and as a result they produce an offspring that possess the desired character. Offspring means the plant that is grown from the both the different plant is called the offspring.